I don't see it. Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, SLG.
I think so. I can ask her. She's inside. She's the host. It's okay. Show me the.
It's okay?
Yes. You can see her. She's in another channel.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Bol Premanande.
Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatamaragasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're discussing about the importance of reading the books of Srila Prabhupada.
咁我哋咧而家係繼續討論咧，就係閱讀聖花花書籍嘅重要性。
Reading the books. We quoted the aphorism. The books are the basis.
咁我哋講過啦，書本咧就係我哋嘅基礎。
Right? The basis, the foundation to our Krishna consciousness movement.
我哋整個 Krishna 知覺運動嘅基礎。
Srila Prabhupada was very concerned that there should be books to support our Krishna conscious philosophy.
咁咧聖花花係非常關心咧，就我哋要為我哋嘅書本咧去支持我哋成個 Krishna 知覺嘅運動。
So he was constantly writing the books, and before he'd even gone to America, he'd already published the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁所以聖花花咧，恆常都係喺度寫作佢嘅書籍啦。咁係佢出發去美國之前咧，佢已經係翻譯咗啦，係編寫咗咧《聖典課家談》第一篇。
Prabhupada knew there were many different editions of the Bhagavad Gita.
咁咧聖花亦都知道咧，博家梵佢有好多唔同嘅翻譯版本。
Wait, I've got a problem. The Zoom is disconnected.
Wi-Fi is not working.
Well, I don't know, but my Zoom is whatever.
Your Zoom is disconnected.
It's connecting, just not connecting.
睇有 Zoom 咯，馬拉個 Zoom disconnect 咗。
我叫佢出咗去。
That was bad.
Wi-Fi is not very stable.
Yeah. Okay, so they're back with us.
OK，個 Zoom 應該 OK，唔使 OK。
So we were speaking about the importance of books. There has to be some books to support the Krishna conscious philosophy and the lifestyle of a devotee.
咁我哋咧必須有一啲係支持我哋去呢個 Krishna 知覺收集嘅啲書籍係 明白到我哋咧，我哋一啲奉獻者去收就嘅時候，佢嘅生活習慣係點樣。
And we see in the different religious traditions everywhere they have their scriptures.
咁唔同嘅宗教咧，係世界各地唔同嘅宗教咧，佢都有佢自己嘅經典。
The Christian people have their Bible, and the Muslim people have their Quran.
咁譬如好似基督教佢哋有聖經啦，回教徒咧佢哋有可蘭經。
So similarly in the Vedic culture, there are several books, not just one book.
咁而喺偉大嘅文化傳統入邊咧，就唔單止一本嘅，有唔同幾本嘅經典。
And Srila Prabhupada explained how the Vedic books, the Vedic literature, give a much more complete picture of the nature of God.
咁而聖帕巴亦都係解釋到咧，就係偉大嘅經典咧，其實咧係俾咗我哋更加完整嘅一個神嘅概念。
In other traditions, they give some information. They talk about God as great.
咁喺其他嘅宗教信入邊咧，佢哋都有提到嘅，譬如神係偉大嘅。
And they describe how God created the world.
佢哋都有描述到喺其他經典亦都描述到神點樣創造呢個世界。
But they don't give any real detailed information about these activities.
咁但係咧對呢啲活動咧其他經典咧並冇好詳細去描述。
So in the Vedic literature, we get a lot of information about exactly how the creation took place.
咁喺偉大經典入邊咧，我哋有好多嘅係知識嘅話俾我聽咧，呢個宇宙嘅創造咧，實際上點樣發生嘅？
And we get also a lot of information about the Supreme Lord behind the creation and His qualities and His activities.
咁我哋亦都有好多咧喺呢個創造背後嘅至尊主佢嘅品質啦、佢嘅活動啦呢啲資料。
So the Vedic literature gives so much information, but even among the Vedic literature, there's a hierarchy.
咁咧偉大經典入邊俾好多呢啲知識我哋啦、呢啲資料我哋啦，但係喺偉大成個經典入邊咧，亦都有一個架構嘅。
Generally, when we speak about the Vedic literature, we will speak about the Bhagavad Gita as being the basic book of the Vedas.
咁如果我哋講呢個偉大嘅經典啦，咁我哋會話咧，《博家梵歌》咧就係入邊嘅基礎。
Bhagavad Gita means the Song of God.
咁巴巴基查《博家梵歌》咧個意思就係神嘅歌。
Bhagavad Gita comes from the Mahabharata.
咁而《博家梵歌》咧係來自《Mahabharata》呢一本書嘅。
Mahabharata means the history of the world.
咁而《Mahabharata》咧就係描述咧呢個世界嘅歷史。
And the Bhagavad Gita is contained there.
咁而《博家梵歌》咧就喺呢本書入邊嘅。
But Bhagavad Gita is more primary knowledge. It's not giving a lot of information.
咁《博家梵歌》咧就好似一啲基礎嘅基本嘅知識啦，但係入邊咧就冇話一啲好詳細嘅資料。
We get the basic knowledge about the nature of God and the living entity.
咁我哋喺《博家梵歌》入邊揾到咧係基本嘅知識啦，關於守神啦，同埋關於生物體。
Then information is given about karma or fruitive activities.
亦都有咧描述業報啦呢一個嘅知識。
Then there is time.
咁仲有就係時間啦。
And the material nature.
亦都係有大自然本質。
So 5 different topics are outlined in the Bhagavad Gita.
咁《博家梵歌》入邊咧就包含住呢5個主題。
And of the 5, 4 are eternal. Karma is not eternal.
咁喺5個主題入邊咧，4個係永恆嘅啦，而時間咧卡勒咧就唔係永恆嘅。
So Bhagavad Gita concludes with the statement of Lord Krishna, where he asks Arjuna to surrender and give up all religious principles and simply take shelter of him.
咁咧，《博家梵歌》嘅總結咧就係 Krishna 咧向阿 Arjuna 咧嘅一個教導啦。佢就同阿 Arjuna 講：你要放棄一切嘅宗教原則，淨係臣服於我。
So this statement sometimes puzzles people.
咁有陣時呢句説話咧就令到有好多人咧好多疑惑。
In fact, one of the reasons why people sometimes don't read scriptures is because they have difficulty to understand them.
咁好多時咧就點解有啲人佢哋唔讀經典咧？就因為咧佢哋 有困難啦，佢哋唔明白經典入邊所講嘅嘢。
So it's important that anybody who really wants to understand the scriptures, they should really be guided.
咁所以呢個好重要一點就係、如果一個人真係想去明白啲經典嘅意思咧，佢必須咧係要接受啲其他人嘅指導。
And just like if you want to be a doctor, you don't just simply read the books on your own.
咁就好似咧，如果你想成為一個醫生咧，你就唔可以自己走去讀本書就話我就做一個醫生。
You have to have somebody there, a teacher to guide you.
咁你必須有位老師啦去指導你。
So similarly, you want to understand scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, you should really have an association. You should have a teacher who can help you to understand.
咁所以同樣地咧，如果你想明白國家梵歌入邊嘅教導咧，你必須有奉獻者同你一齊啦聯誼啦，去教導你去理解國家梵歌。
Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Give up all religious principles and surrender to me."
咁Krishna 喺國家梵歌入邊咧，就係同阿尊來講啦，你要放棄一切嘅宗教原則，臣服於我。
But Lord Krishna also comes to establish religious principles.
咁但係咧，Krishna 亦都係降臨呢個世界咧，嚟到重建呢個宗教原則。
So this is a contradiction which people may have difficulty with. People may feel this is contradictory.
咁所以表面上咧，有啲人就會覺得好疑惑啦，好似係一個互相矛盾嘅論點。
Krishna is saying, give up religion, but Lord Krishna had also said that he came to establish religion.
咁咧，最後 Krishna 就同阿尊來講，就叫佢放棄一切宗教原則啦。但係 Krishna 咧亦都之前亦都講過，佢嚟呢個世界咧就要重建呢個宗教原則。
So we have to understand these contradictions.
咁所以我哋咧要明白呢啲表面上睇落去係矛盾嘅地方。
So the teachers, acharyas, they explain to us that when Krishna says give up religion, he is saying give up all religions which are materially motivated.
咁所以咧我哋之前嘅靈性導師就教導我哋啦，當 Krishna 講話我哋要放棄一切宗教原則嘅時候咧，佢其實所講嘅宗教原則就係所有啲係物質主義嘅宗教原則。
Because Lord Krishna has come to establish eternal religion, what is called Sanatana Dharma.
咁而 Krishna 嚟到呢個世界咧，佢要重建嘅宗教原則係永恆嘅宗教原則，我哋講嘅 Sanatana Dharma。
And the eternal religion is loving service to God.
咁而呢個永恆嘅宗教原則咧，就係對神、對守神嘅愛嘅服務。
So Lord Krishna is saying, give up your material religion, which is just for your own sense gratification.
咁所以 Krishna 所講嘅放棄宗教原則咧，就係放棄我哋物質嘅宗教原則，即係話呢啲咧係為我哋帶嚟感官享樂嘅宗教原則。
We want to develop the highest religion.
我哋咧要培養出呢個最高階嘅宗教。
So Bhagavad Gita is giving an introduction to these things.
咁國家梵歌咧就係對呢一啲所講嘅嘢咧係一個嘅介紹，一個前言。
And there are so many different editions of Bhagavad Gita.
咁而國家梵歌有好多唔同嘅翻譯版本。
So it becomes very confusing.
咁所以咧就係對人嚟講咧係非常之會好混亂嘅。
Even in this part of the world, in Hong Kong and other Chinese-speaking countries, they have many editions of Bhagavad Gita.
咁就算喺香港啦，講中文嘅地方啦，其實都有好多唔同嘅國家梵歌嘅版本。
And some of them will speak a very negative manner about Krishna.
咁有啲咧係對 Krishna 嘅描述係非常之負面嘅。
So they will present their message of Bhagavad Gita as in their own way.
咁我哋咧係會自己嘅方法咧嚟到去表達呢個國家梵歌入邊所講嘅嘢。
It's important when you study something, you want to get the clear, the proper, authorized understanding.
咁所以當我哋去理解一樣事情嘅時候，呢個一點係非常之重要。我哋要揾一個正確嘅、有權威性嘅一個教導。
So if we hear the Bhagavad Gita from somebody who is not a devotee, then we won't get a good understanding.
咁所以如果我哋聆聽嘅國家梵歌咧，係唔係由一個奉獻者嘅所講嘅咧？咁咧我哋咧嘅理解咧，應該我哋就唔會得到個正確嘅理解。
Lord Krishna had said to Arjuna, Bhaktosime sakacheti rahasyam yetutam. Because you are my devotee as well as my friend, therefore you can understand this knowledge.
咁 Krishna 向阿 Arjuna 講咧，因為你係我嘅奉獻者咧，亦都係我嘅朋友，所以你能夠理解明白呢一個知識。
So Arjuna's qualification was to be a devotee. But if you go and hear the Bhagavad Gita from someone who's not a devotee, then definitely you're not going to get the authorized understanding.
咁阿 Arjuna 嘅資格咧就係一個奉獻者啦。咁所以如果我哋由一個非奉獻者喺度去聆聽國家梵歌咧，我哋一定唔會得到一個正確同埋有權威性嘅理解。
And there are a lot of people who are speaking the Bhagavad Gita, but they're not devotees.
咁亦都好多咧係非奉獻者咧，佢哋會講述教導呢個國家梵歌。
And some people are gross materialists, and some people are impersonalists.
咁有當中咧有呢一啲人咧，有啲係非奉獻者，係一啲物質主義者啦，而有啲咧係非人教神主義者。
So these two classes of people, they're against the mood of devotion.
咁呢一啲人咧都係咧同奉獻者嘅奉愛嘅心緒咧係相反嘅。
But Lord Krishna had spoke very highly about devotion.
咁咧 Krishna 咧係對奉愛咧係呢一個描述係視奉愛係一個非常高階嘅一個嘅修習。
In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said only by devotion can he be understood.
咁喺國家梵歌入邊咧 ，Krishna 亦都講啦，只有通過奉愛咧，先能夠去理解我。
And Lord Krishna, at the end of the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he said that devotion is the culmination of all yoga practice.
咁而喺國家梵歌第6章嘅結尾嗰度咧 ，Krishna 亦都講咧，奉愛咧就係所有瑜伽嘅結合體。
So Lord Krishna had highlighted devotion over all the other systems.
咁所以咧 ，Krishna 咧係將奉愛咧係視為咧係所有其他嘅系統嘅最高階嘅階段。
But you get people that come along and they're big gyanis, they're big speculators, they're fond of juggling words, and they give their own understanding.
咁有好多人啦，佢哋係一啲思辨家啦，係一啲哲學家啦，咁我哋會用好多華麗嘅措辭啦，嚟到咧去對國家梵歌咧去俾佢自己嘅演繹，係帶佢嘅解釋。
So that one of the advantages of reading Srila Prabhupada's book is that Prabhupada is presenting the message in that parampara.
咁所以咧，我哋閱讀聖巴巴嘅書籍咧，有其中嘅好處咧，就係因為咧聖巴巴咧係呢一個我哋嘅資料傳承嘅呢個正式嘅真實無偽資料傳承嘅一個代表。
So the Bhagavad Gita, which is introduced by Srila Prabhupada, is called As It Is.
咁所以咧，點解聖巴巴所翻譯所寫嘅國家梵歌咧，被稱為咧國家梵歌原意？
Other people, they're thinking Bhagavad Gita as they think it.
咁其他人所寫嘅國家梵歌咧，就係佢哋認為佢哋所諗嘅國家梵歌，
Or as they want it to be.
或者咧佢哋想覺得國家梵歌應該係點樣
But
嘅。
they're not giving the actual message of Bhagavad Gita as it was presented by Lord Krishna.
咁但係咧，佢哋呢啲人咧並冇咧將呢個正確嘅 Krishna 想帶出嘅信息咧，係喺呢個國家梵歌入邊咧係講出嚟。
I studied the Bhagavad Gita myself when I was a student.
咁咧我係喺我作為一個學生嘅時候咧，我都有讀過國家梵歌。
I studied engineering actually
咁咧Maharaj 其實係讀呢個工程系嘅。
in the UK.
喺英國。
And we had to do humanities subject.
咁我哋咧要讀一啲關於人類學嘅一啲嘅科目。
And one of the subjects we were given a choice. One subject was the Bhagavad Gita.
咁其中一個咧可以選擇嘅科目咧就係國家梵歌。
And it was taught by a man who was a Christian priest.
咁但係咧係由一個基督教嘅一個牧師所教嘅。
So I really didn't get much understanding of it.
咁當時我咧都上完之後都唔好明緊國家梵歌講啦。
But it put the seed into me.
咁但係咧喺馬拉心入邊咧種咗呢個種子。
And later on, after I graduated from college, I was working in London and I got a book. I saw this book, Krishna.
咁咧跟住當馬拉畢咗業之後咧，就喺倫敦度翻工做嘢啦。咁我咧就得到咧呢一個 Krishna 法學的泉源呢本書。
So I remembered Krishna, I remembered the Bhagavad Gita.
咁當時咧，馬拉就記翻起咧 Krishna 播開排嗰呢本書。
And I'd even seen a Back to Godhead.
咁咧馬拉甚至就係睇咗呢一個回歸守神呢本雜誌。
The devotees used to distribute Back to Godhead magazine.
咁當時咧，奉獻者就喺倫敦度咧係派發呢個回歸守神嘅雜誌。
We still have Back to Godhead magazine.
我哋而家仍然係有呢本雜誌嘅。
But nowadays it's an in-house publication.
咁但係而家咧就係淨係喺我哋協會入邊嘅一個出版。
Means it's more for the people who are active in Krishna consciousness.
咁咧呢本雜誌主要咧嘅對象咧就係一啲已經係收集緊 Krishna 知覺嘅人。
But initially, of course, Srila Prabhupada had begun the Back to Godhead when he was alone living in India. He began it in 1944.
咁1944年啦，當時聖巴巴喺印度啦，一個人喺印度嘅時候咧，佢就開始咧出版回歸守神呢本雜誌。
So when he got to USA and he got some followers there in New York, he asked them to take over the magazine.
咁所以當佢去到紐約佢開始有啲追隨者嘅時候咧，聖巴巴就叫佢啲追隨者，不如你哋繼續出版呢本雜誌咯。
And the devotees began writing the articles.
咁奉獻者就開始為呢本雜誌咧係寫一啲嘅文章。
And so devotees, we were all new devotees.
咁當時咧全部都係好新嘅奉獻
So
者。
we didn't know very, so mostly we would write about chanting Hare Krishna.
咁大部分奉獻者因為當時好新啦，佢哋就會寫係念誦聖名。
And we'd write about the 4 regulated
或者
principles.
咧係寫關於4個規範守則。
And we'd encourage people in this way.
咁咧就係通過呢個方法咧係鼓勵所有人去收集。
So initially in those days the magazine was more for new people, for anybody, people who didn't know about our movement.
咁所以咧開始嘅時候咧，呢個雜誌咧其實係個對象咧就係啲好新嘅奉獻者咧，或者係大眾咧，佢哋對呢個運動咧係一無所知嘅人。
It was for we would distribute it when we would go out on Sankirtan.
咁當大家出去派書嘅時候咧，就會派發呢本雜誌。
So I had seen a Back to Godhead, and then I saw this Krishna book.
咁所以咧當時馬拉就睇咗呢一個呢本雜誌啦，亦都咧係睇咗呢個 Krishna 化學的泉源呢本書。
It was in a store.
咁當時喺個書局嗰度。
They were selling books, and I saw this book, and I thought, it looks interesting, and I picked it up, and it was really beautiful.
咁咧跟住嗰陣時喺書局度，馬拉就發現咗一本書咧，發覺封面咧係非常之吸引嘅。
And Prabhupada writes about how people, when they see the cover of that book, they will ask, who is this?
咁咧，聖巴巴都講過啦，當啲人睇到即係呢本書《Krishna Book》呢本書嘅封面嘅時候咧，啲人就會問：呢個係邊個嚟㗎？
Who is this person on the front? And who's the woman with him?
跟住啲人就話：呢個喺封面嗰度係咩人嚟㗎？同我一齊呢個女性係邊個嚟㗎？
I didn't know who they were either.
咁當然啦，當時我唔知佢哋係邊個。
But anyway, I got the book and I took it home and I showed my friend and he said, wow, he said, you know, I have a book by this person also.
咁於是點都好啦，馬拉就買咗一本書咧，拎咗翻屋企咧，就同俾佢朋友睇啦。跟住啲朋友就係喎，我都想買呢本書喎。
And he looked in his books and he found a book, but it was a smaller book. It was called the Topmost Yoga System.
咁原來朋友都有本好類似嘅書喎，呢個就係瑜伽呢個係完美的極唔係瑜伽 Topmost Yoga 係最高完美境界完美境界。
So we were very impressed, both of us, that we thought, wow, this is very interesting. He's written this book, Krishna, and the topmost yoga system, and so colorful paintings in the book, and then we saw there was an introduction in the book by George Harrison.
咁當時媽媽同佢朋友睇咗呢本書就覺得非常之有趣啦，咁啊好靚啦，兩本書都講嘅嘢都非常之吸引啦，咁同埋咧亦都係Krishna book 入邊咧個前言咧係 George Harrison 所寫嘅。
So it led us to go to the temple.
跟住咧，因為咁樣咧，佢就去咗廟堂。
The devotees had already come to London and they made a centre there.
咁當時咧，奉獻者已經去到倫敦啦，就喺倫敦咧開咗個中心。
And we knew they were having some kind of programs there.
咁因為佢知道咧，佢哋喺倫敦個中心度咧會有啲活動。
But when we saw the books, then we took it more serious.
咁但係當佢睇完本書之後，佢就更加認真咁樣咧係去參與。
And we went to the temple and we both became devotees.
咁跟住佢哋就一齊去咗廟啦，就兩個都成為咗奉獻者。
I started to go to temple. I was working and I used to go every evening to the arti.
咁咧當時媽媽一齊工作嘅，佢就夜晚黑即係黃昏嘅時候咧就會參加arti去廟堂嗰度。
And every evening a devotee would sit and give Bhagavad Gita class.
咁而夜晚咧每一晚咧奉獻者都會喺廟堂嗰度咧就係講博家梵歌嘅講課。
And I learned more in those classes than I ever learned when I was studying at uni.
咁媽媽當時喺博家梵歌嘅課聽課入邊咧學嘅嘢咧仲多過佢喺大學入邊學到嘅嘢。
Because the person speaking was a devotee.
因為咧呢一個講課嘅呢一個咧係一個奉獻者。
You have to hear from the devotees.
我哋必須咧要通過奉獻者咧嚟到去聆聽。
You hear from people who are not devotees, then they will just give you their own message.
咁如果你係由非奉獻者嗰個聆聽咧，你只會得到咧係佢哋呢啲人佢哋所嘅信息。
That is a very valuable thing about Srila Prabhupada's books.
咁呢個咧亦都係聖巴巴嘅書籍一個非常之珍貴嘅地方。
The Prabhupada's books are coming in the cyclic succession.
因為聖巴巴嘅書咧係通過師徒傳承咧嚟到俾我哋。
He's presenting the message of all the acharyas and the great liberated souls.
咁而聖巴巴所講嘅呢啲信息咧，全部都係來自咧呢啲我哋好偉大嘅之前嘅靈性導師啦，同埋解脫咗嘅靈魂。
He's not just telling you what he thinks, he's telling you what these great souls have said.
咁聖巴巴唔單止係講俾我哋聽佢嘅睇法啦，亦都係入邊咧都包含住呢啲咁最偉大嘅靈魂佢哋嘅呢啲嘅信息。
And certainly there were many great souls who read these books, like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
咁當然都有好多偉大靈魂咧，佢哋閲讀呢一啲嘅書籍啦，包括博家梵歌同埋聖典博家嘅壇。
So I was explaining there's a hierarchy among the books.
咁所以咧喺書籍當中咧，其實都有一個階級嘅一個高低嘅階級。
Bhagavad Gita is like the primary study.
咁咧博家梵歌就係基本嘅程度。
It introduces us to the topic.
咁佢咧係俾我哋一個介紹，我哋去理解一啲嘅題目。
But if you want to know more than what's in the Bhagavad Gita, then you have to read Srimad Bhagavatam.
如果你想知道更加多關於博家梵歌入邊所講述嘅嘢嘅一啲詳細嘅資料咧，你就要去閱讀聖典博家壇。
Sometimes, I had the experience one time. I was giving somebody a book, and another person was there, and I was giving them a Bhagavad Gita, and somebody said, "Wow, such a big book! Do you read that? Such a big book!"
咁咧，媽媽做嘅經驗就係有一次佢就派書啦，就兩個人一齊，咁佢就派一本博家梵歌俾其中一個人，另外咧就話：哇，係唔係㗎？你咁大本書你都讀，係咪真係讀㗎你？
Well, this is only the beginning.
其實呢個只係成個學習嘅開始。
This is just the ABC.
呢個咧其實只係呢個學問嘅 ABC， 即係最基本嘅嘢。
You have to go on and read Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁我哋咧要繼續咧係去進階，要去讀聖典博家壇。
The Srimad Bhagavatam is the higher study
咁呢個聖經課家嘅談咧就比較高階啲嘅一個閱讀啦。
Now Srimad Bhagavatam is in 12 cantos.
咁我哋知道咧，聖經課家嘅談有12篇。
And there's 18,000 Sanskrit verses.
總共咧有18000個梵文詩字。
Sometimes, I had the experience one time. I was giving somebody a book, and another person was there, and I was giving them a Bhagavad Gita, and somebody said, "Wow, such a big book! Do you read such a big book?"
咁咧，媽媽做嘅經驗就係有次佢就派書啦，就兩個人一齊，咁咧就派一本國家梵歌俾其中一個人，另外人就話：哇，係唔係㗎？你咁大本書你都讀，就真係讀㗎你。
And so, well, this is only the beginning.
其實呢個只係成個學習嘅開始。
This is just the ABC.
呢個咧其實只係呢個學問嘅 ABC， 即係最基本嘅嘢。
Have to go on.
我哋繼續咧係去進階，要去做聖經國家嘅。
The Bhagavatam is a higher study. And there's 18,000, right? The sages in Misharanya were so the age of Kali was coming, and so the sages wanted to do a sacrifice. Haribo, woman will I?
我现在不是传译员吗？
对呀，就是我不知道怎么给你设成传译员。
您看有一个传译，然后点一下，添加传译员就好。
All right, so where were we?
可以找到妈妈的经，您点一下传译。
I was explaining about Srila Prabhupada.
这名字在这里。
Oh, okay.
我重新找一下。
或者您把
我哋有啲技術困難，而家再繼續開始。
主持人給我來
I
說
was
來。
explaining about Srila Prabhupada's books, how Srila Prabhupada was presenting not just simply his own opinion, but the opinion of many great acharyas.
咁所以聖帕巴嘅書籍入邊咧，講述咗
剛剛提到讀聖帕巴嘅書籍嘅重要
亦都係屬之前嘅靈性導師都可以睇靈性導師佢哋嘅一啲嘅評注。
And you can see also that presents opinions not only from our own line of Sampradaya, but even acharyas from the other Sampradayas.
咁聖帕巴所入邊嘅書籍咧，唔單止有我哋嘅呢個思維傳承嘅一啲嘅睇法啦，而其他嘅思維傳承咧，亦都係佢哋嘅評注，亦都包括在內嘅。
Like Ramanujacharya is quoted in several places.
咁就好似咧 Ramanujacharya 啦，亦都喺幾笪唔同嘅地方咧都有佢嘅評注。
And Bhavabhacharya is also quoted.
咁亦都好似 Bhavabhacharya 啦，佢嘅評注亦都係被引用
And
嘅。
even Shankaracharya is quoted.
咁就算咧係 Shankaracharya 咧嘅評注亦都係有包括在內。
So Srila Prabhupada presenting very authoritative references and presenting the scriptures.
咁所以咧係聖帕巴引用咗好多權威嘅一啲嘅評注咧，嚟到喺佢嘅唔同嘅經典咧入邊咧都會有揾到佢呢啲評注。
So anybody who wants to understand the Vedic knowledge by reading Prabhupada's books, you get a very good grasp of the
咁所以
whole.
咧，如果係大家通過閱讀聖帕巴嘅書籍咧，係可以咧得到一個好全面去理解呢個偉大嘅經典。
So the Srimad Bhagavatam was the higher study, but even above Srimad Bhagavatam, there's another book which is even more glorious.
咁係聖經國家談有一個比較高階嘅閱讀啦。咁但係咧喺聖經國家談以上咧，係有一個更加咧係充滿咗榮耀嘅呢個書。
And that is the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
咁呢個咧就係《旅行的主宰產耶經》。
And it was the Chaitanya Charitamrita which people like Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he used to read.
咁而聖巴巴嘅靈性導師啦，Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati咧，佢哋都係會閱讀咧《旅行的主宰產耶經》呢一本書。
he read it not just once, but he read it 108 times.
咁佢不基士丹塔唔單止讀咗一次啦，係讀咗啲佢拎住咗翻譯經咧108次。
And he encouraged other people also to read it.
佢亦都鼓勵其他人咧係閱讀呢本書。
So when Prabhupada was going to the USA, he went on a ship, of course, and it took some time for the ship to cross the ocean, but Srila Prabhupada was taking advantage of that time to read Chaitanya Charitamrita.
咁當時咧，聖巴巴係坐呢個貨輪咧，係去呢一個美國噶啦，咁係需要一段時間嘅，咁佢就利用呢段時間咧喺船上面就係閱讀佢係拎住一壇嘢嘅。
Srila Prabhupada was keeping a diary as he crossed the ocean, and in his diary he wrote also about how the Chaitanya Charitamrita was giving him great comfort and solace.
咁咧聖巴巴係坐呢個貨輪嘅時候咧，佢咧有本日記嘅。咁喺日記入邊咧，佢都有講述咧，係當佢即係喺呢個旅程嗰度咧，佢閱讀通過閱讀每人拎住一本日經咧，係俾咗佢好多嘅慰藉。
So Bhagavad Gita is very nice. It brings us to the point of surrender.
咁咧，博家梵都係非常之好嘅一本書啦。佢咧帶領我哋咧去做呢個臣服嘅呢個階段。
But the Srimad Bhagavatam goes on. Now that you have surrendered, what do you do?
咁而聖典博家嘅談就係一個延續啦。好啦，我哋而家咧係臣服於至尊主啦。咁我哋跟住做啲乜嘢咧？
So Srimad Bhagavatam, we said this is the form of Lord Krishna.
咁聖典博家嘅談咧就係 Krishna 嘅一個嘅形象。
The sages at Naimisharanya had gathered together to do sacrifice to counter the effects of Kali.
咁Naimisharaya 森林嘅聖人咧，佢哋聚集埋一齊咧，就做呢個火祭咧，就係咧去抗衡咧呢個卡耶年代嘅影響。
And at the same time, they were putting questions to Sutta Goswami.
咁同一時間咧，佢哋都係咧有好多問題咧，係向 Sutta Goswami 詢問。
And one of the questions was that when Lord Krishna was present on the planet, there was no problem because he was the personification of all religious principles.
咁我哋其中一條問題就係當 Krishna 係親自顯現喺呢個世界嘅時候咧，世界係冇問題嘅，因為咧佢咧就係宗教原則嘅個人化身。
But now that Lord Krishna has left the planet, where are the religious principles to be found?
咁但係而家咧 Krishna 已經離開呢個世界啦，咁我哋喺邊一度咧先再揾到呢一個宗教原則咧？
And Sutta Goswami replied to the sages, Krishna swadamo pagate dharma jnana debisaha kalonishtam drishamisha puranarto dranojata. That this Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode.
咁跟住Sutta Goswami 就回答啦，佢話當 Krishna 離開之後咧，聖典國家嘅壇就好似個太陽咁樣，呢個咧亦都係 Krishna 嘅居所。
Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of the age of Kali will get light from this Purana.
咁人因為呢一個卡耶年代嘅黑暗啦，佢哋冇咗呢個光明，咁人咧就可以通過聖典國家嘅壇咧可以重拾呢個光明。
And so the Vedic knowledge itself is compared to a tree, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to the ripened fruit of the
咁我
tree.
哋將偉大嘅經典咧比喻為一棵樹啦，咁而聖典國家嘅壇咧就係呢棵樹嘅成熟嘅果實。
So it's the ripened fruit which is the valuable part of the tree.
呢個係聖典國家嘅壇，呢棵樹係偉大經典，呢棵樹嘅成實嘅果實，亦都係最珍貴，呢棵樹最珍貴嘅地方。
So we were saying this Srimad Bhagavatam is like the body of Krishna. The first two cantos are compared to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna.
咁我哋將聖典國家嘅壇咧係比喻係 Krishna 嘅身體啦，而第一篇、第二篇咧就係 Krishna 嘅呢個蓮花足。
When we come to see the deity, when we meditate on the form of Krishna, we're meant to begin from his lotus feet.
咁當我哋去緊見神像嘅時候，去冥想至尊主嘅時候咧，我哋係由佢嘅蓮花足開始。
And gradually we progress upwards to look on the face of the Lord.
跟住我哋慢慢咧就將個視線向上移咧，就係再去注視咧係至尊主嘅蓮花嘅面。
So that face of Lord Krishna, that is the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁所以咧，至尊主嘅面咧就係呢個聖經課家談第10篇。
And it's the 10th canto which contains all the confidential pastimes of Lord Krishna.
而第10篇入邊咧，亦都係包含咗所有係至尊主一啲最機密嘅逍遙時光。
So Srimad Bhagavatam is describing to us not only about Lord Krishna, but it describes about Lord Krishna's potencies and his different energies and avatars.
咁所以咧，聖經課家談唔單止係描述至尊主 Krishna 啦，亦都係包括咧係描述埋佢嘅唔同嘅各種各樣嘅能量啦，同埋佢嘅化身。
When Srila Prabhupada came to the Western world, one of the first books which he was able to publish was the Krishna book.
咁所以當聖巴巴去到西方嘅時候咧，佢第一本能夠出版嘅書咧就係 Krishna 化學的泉源呢本書。
And in that Krishna book, he described all the pastimes of Lord Krishna.
咁喺 Krishna book 呢本書入邊咧，亦都係描述所有關於 Krishna 嘅逍遙時光。
Because so many people had gone to the West and they'd given Bhagavad Gita.
咁咧，好多人咧係喺西方咧，佢哋咧就獲得呢個國家梵國。
But they would give their own interpretation.
咁但係咧，佢哋咧會好多唔同嘅版本嘅國家梵國，但係佢哋會俾佢自己個人嘅一啲嘅分析。
And they never spoke about Krishna.
佢哋咧從來都冇講述 Krishna 嘅。
They would take the Bhagavad Gita to present their own philosophy.
佢哋咧只係用國家梵國咧講述佢自己嘅哲學。
And they never glorified Krishna.
但係佢從來咧都唔會榮耀 Krishna。
But it was Srila Prabhupada who not only presented Bhagavad Gita, but he also gave us the Krishna book.
咁所以咧，聖巴巴咧唔單止咧係俾咗我哋國家梵國啦，亦都俾咗我哋咧係 Krishna 化學的泉源呢本書。
He introduced us to Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead.
佢向我哋咧介紹咧係至尊人格守神 Krishna 呢一個人。
Other people, they were giving Bhagavad Gita in name only, but they never gave the real message of Gita.
咁其他人咧，佢話佢出版嘅呢個國家梵國咧，只係得個名嘅啫，佢哋根本咧冇真正嘅冇將呢個真正嘅意思咧係講述出嚟。
And Srila Prabhupada not only gave us the Krishna book, but later on he gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁所以咧，聖巴巴咧唔單止係俾咗我哋 Krishna 化學的泉源呢本書啦，之後咧亦都係俾咗我哋咧聖典國家集。
And then he went on after Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a higher study.
咁咧喺聖典國家集之後咧，仲有一個更加高階嘅研讀。
There's the postgraduate study, and that is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
咁咧呢個咧係大學畢業以後嘅再進階嘅課程啦。咁呢一個咧就係永恆的主宰產嘢經。
It is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is actually the highest knowledge, the most supreme wisdom in topics of devotion.
咁而永恆的主宰產嘢經入邊咧，亦都包含住咧呢個最至尊、最高階嘅呢一個嘅奉愛嘅知識。
And that's why people like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita 108 times.
咁所以點解咧？好似Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur呢啲人物咧，佢哋就會閱讀咧永恆的主宰產嘢經咧108次。
And our own Srila Prabhupada, traveling on the ship across the ocean, he brought with him his Chaitanya Charitamrita. He could read it regularly.
咁而聖巴巴當佢坐呢個貨輪橫渡呢一個海峽嘅時候，去美國嘅時候咧，佢都咧係帶埋呢個永恆的主宰產嘢經呢一本書咧係行上去閱讀。
And one of the things which he did in the 12 years of his preaching was to publish the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita.
咁而喺聖巴巴12年嘅傳教入邊咧，佢其中一樣嘅貢獻咧就係出版咗永恆的主宰產嘢經呢一套書。
We feel very sorry for people who are members of the Krishna consciousness movement who've never gone through Srila Prabhupada's books.
咁咧，如果你係聖巴巴呢個Krishna 國際 Krishna 之愛協會嘅成員，但係你冇去睇過呢啲書咧，咁係一個非常可惜嘅。
Srila Prabhupada was always telling us that I did not write the books just for you to sell. I want you also to read them.
咁聖爸爸講過好多次啦，我寫啲書咧唔係淨係叫你哋去派嘅，我係希望你哋去讀。
No, it's nice you like to sell the books. Okay, we don't mind. You can do that, but you should also take advantage to read the books.
咁當然啦，我哋去派書派呢啲書籍咧，聖爸爸係好開心啦。但我哋唔單止要去派啦，我哋都要去好好利用呢啲書去閱讀呢啲書。
And just like here in Hong Kong, we are worshipping Gornitai.
咁就好似喺香港廟宇啦，我哋咧係崇拜書書嗰啲差。
So we see the beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the deity form.
咁我哋咧係見到咧係主一坦爺一個非常之美麗嘅神像嘅呢個形象出現。
But we need to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita to hear the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
咁但係咧我哋咧都要閱讀《嘅主一坦爺經》啦，去明白咧。究竟主一坦爺佢嘅一啲咁美妙嘅思慮時光同埋嘅教導。
Just only to see the deity, to worship the deity, and not to read the books, not to know the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, does not make sense.
咁如果我哋淨係去緊見神像，淨係去崇拜神像，但我哋唔去讀呢個名的主一坦爺經咧，唔去明白主一坦爺嘅教導咧，其實咧係唔好合邏輯嘅。
Why are we worshipping these two people?
我哋點解要崇拜呢兩個人物咧？
What have they done?
我哋究竟做啲乜嘢咧？
Of course, it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with his associate Nityananda that they taught the real message of Krishna consciousness.
咁亦都係通過主一坦爺啦，同埋主 Nityananda 咧，佢哋係教導我哋真正究竟 Krishna 知覺係乜嘢。
They established the Sankirtan movement, which is the religious process for this age.
佢哋都係建立咗呢一個齊眾聲明嘅運動啦。咁而呢個咧亦都係呢一個年代嘅宗教原則。
And they taught the importance of Lord Krishna being worshipped along with his pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani.
佢哋都教導我哋咧，係我哋當我哋崇拜 Krishna 嘅時候咧，我哋都係同時崇拜佢嘅快樂嘅快樂嘅能量就係 Srimati Radharani。
Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, people were only worshipping Krishna on his own.
咁咧，當主要坦爺顯現之前咧，人咧淨係咧崇拜 Krishna 一個。
But it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who pointed out that the pleasure potency, the eternal consort of Lord Sri Krishna is Srimati Radharani.
咁亦都係主要坦爺咧，去指出咧 Krishna 嘅呢一個快樂嘅能量啦，佢嘅永恆嘅同遊咧就係 Srimati Radharani。
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed many confidential pastimes of Lord Krishna.
咁而主要坦爺亦都係展示咗好多咧係主 Krishna 嘅一啲好機密嘅逍遙時光。
It was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who discovered the Radha Kund.
亦都係主要坦爺咧，佢咧係發現Radha Kund。
500 years ago, nobody knew where is Radha Kund.
咁500年前咧，根本冇人知道咧 Radha Kund 喺邊。
Of course, everybody knew where is the Govardhan Hill.
咁當然啦，但係所有人都知道咧，嗰丹山喺邊。
Not difficult to find out the Govardhan Hill.
咁我哋揾嗰丹山喺邊咧，並唔困難。
But where is Radha Kund?
咁但係咧Radha Kund喺邊咧？
And it took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself to personally come there and reveal the Radha Kund.
咁咧，直至咧係主要坦爺去親身去到咧，係再將咧 Radha Kund 咧係發掘翻出嚟。
And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then taught he explained many points of the scriptures.
咁而主要坦爺都係解釋咗好多喺經典入邊嘅一啲嘅要旨。
His discussions with with personalities like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, first of all, in Jagannath Puri.
佢亦都係同一啲好出名嘅學者啦，Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 啦，喺 Puri 嗰度咧好多嘅討論。
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a logician, and he was engaged in teaching the sannyasis there in Jagannath Puri.
咁Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 咧係一個哲學家啦，佢亦都係喺 Puri 嗰度咧教導好多sannyasi嘅。
He was teaching them the philosophy of Vedanta Sutra.
佢咧係教導咧 Vedanta Sutra 嘅呢個知識。
Now Vedanta Sutra is a scripture written by Srila Vyasadeva.
咁咧 Vedanta Sutra 咧係由 Srila Vyasadeva 所寫。
Right? Veda means knowledge. and anta means the end. So Vedanta means the end of knowledge.
咁Veda 就係知識啦 ，Danta 就係結束啦。咁呢個咧就即係話呢個呢個知識嘅總結，一個結束嘅地方。
And sutra is something which is put in a very short form.
咁 sutra 意思就係一啲好簡短嘅一啲嘅文字。
Just like condense, we could say. You know, you have milk. Milk may be quite big volume, but if you boil the milk and condense the milk, the volume will become less and less.
咁樣係一啲好濃縮嘅一啲精華啦，就好似我哋煲啲牛奶咁咯，我哋一路煲咧，就會佢個體積會越嚟越少啦，就變咗煉奶。
The milk will become thicker as the volume is decreased.
咁當呢個奶嘅體積越嚟越少嘅時候咧，佢就會越嚟越結。
So similarly, Srila Vyasadeva wrote this Vedanta Sutra, which was a condensed version of the Vedas.
咁所以咧，當Vyasadeva佢寫咗呢個 Vedanta Sutra 咧，就係一個濃縮一個偉大經典嘅濃縮版本。
So the Mayavadi sannyasis, they will study the Vedanta Sutra.
咁呢啲非人格神主義嘅sannyasi咧，佢就會研讀咧呢一個 Vedanta Sutra。
But what they should be doing is studying Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁當然啦，佢哋其實應該咧亦都係去閱讀咧呢個聖典國家壇。
Because it's Srimad Bhagavatam which Srila Vyasadeva wrote as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra.
咁因為咧Vyasadeva咧寫呢個聖典國家壇咧，就係作為呢一個 Vedanta Sutra 嘅一個評注。
And so for some time, none of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas ever bothered to write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra.
咁所以咧係曾幾何時咧係 Gaudiya Vaishnava 咧係佢哋冇一個 Gaudiya Vaishnava 咧係去寫呢一個Vedanta Sutra 嘅評注。
But at a certain point, there was a challenge came that they challenged that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are not bona fide.
咁但係咧，一點咧就係有人咧就係挑戰呢一個高地亞嘅外士立話啦，就你哋係咪真係一個真實無偽嘅傳承
They have no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, therefore they're not bona fide.
因為你哋咧連一個對 Vedanta Sutra 嘅評注都冇喎，你哋一定唔係一個正統嘅資料傳承。
Of course, the devotees would say, no, Srila Vyasadev's commentary is there. Srila Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a commentary on Vedanta.
跟住奉獻者就反駁啦，就梗係唔係啦 ，Vyasadeva 寫咗呢個聖典國家嘅壇，呢個咧就係Vedanta Sutra 嘅評注。
But they said, no, that's Vyasadev's comment. That's nothing to do with your sampradaya.
咁跟住佢其他人就話：呢個唔係嘅 ，Vyasadeva 所寫同你哋嘅資料傳承咧係冇關係嘅。
So then one of the Vaishnavas had to come from Vrindavan, a devotee named Baladeva Vijayapusan came there, and he came to Jaipur and he wrote commentary on
咁所以咧
Vedanta.
Vijayapusa 佢咧就係由 Vrindavan 嚟到咧，就寫咗呢一個對 Vedanta Sutra 嘅評注。
Anyway, the point was that Sarvabhauma was teaching Vedanta philosophy to Mayavadi sannyasis.
咁咧Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 就係不如咧就係教導呢啲托缽僧咧係非人格神主義嘅呢啲哲學。
And he wanted to teach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the philosophy.
佢亦都咧係想咧係教導咧主許坦爺呢一啲嘅哲學。
And Lord Chaitanya was so polite and so humble that he had to sit for 7 days and listen.
咁咧當時主許坦爺咧非常之謙卑啦，佢就坐喺度咧7日嚟到去聆聽。
And then after 7 days, the Sarvabhauma said, "Why are you not asking any questions?"
咁7日之後咧，Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya咧就問主許坦爺：點解你唔問問題嘅？
I've been talking for so many days, you haven't asked one question.
我已經講咗7日嘅嘢啦，但係一條問題都冇問喎。
So Lord Chaitanya said, "No, I already understand it."
咁跟住主許坦爺就話啦：其實我乜都明白，我所有嘢都明白嘅。
But the way you explain it is very not clear.
咁但係咧，你解釋嘅方法咧就一啲都唔清晰。
And so anyway, then Lord Chaitanya revealed to the Sarvabhauma what was the actual understanding of the Vedanta Sutra.
咁跟住咧，主許坦爺咧就係向Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya咧就係講述咧 點樣去真正去理解呢一個維丹德 Sutra。
And this way, Lord Chaitanya then taught Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁於是咧，主要翻嚟咧就係教導桑巴德Acharya 咧呢一個聖典博伽壇嘅榮耀。
So after that, then Lord Chaitanya was in Benares and he met with the Mayavadi sannyasis.
咁當主要單人去到Benares嘅地方嘅時候咧，佢都遇到好多咧非人格神主義嘅托缽僧。
And they said to Lord Chaitanya, why don't you study Vedanta Sutra?
咁佢哋就同主要單人講：點解你唔去讀維丹德 Sutra？
At that time, Lord Chaitanya said, oh, my spiritual master said, I am a foolish person.
咁咧喺當時咧，主要單人就同佢哋講啦：我嘅靈性導師咧話佢係一個好蠢嘅人。
My spiritual master told me I couldn't understand Vedanta. He told me just to chant Hare Krishna.
我嘅靈性導師同我講啦，我係一個好蠢嘅人啦，我唔會明白維丹德 Sutra 嘅，你淨係去念誦就得㗎啦。
But then Lord Chaitanya explained to the Mayavadi sannyasis about chanting Hare Krishna.
咁於是咧，主要單人就向呢啲非人格神主義嘅聖一時咧，就係解釋咧點解要念誦呢一個聖名。
And he taught all the Mayavadi sannyasis to chant Hare Krishna.
於是佢就教導所有呢啲非人格神主義嘅聖一時咧，就去念誦聖名。
And they all chanted.
結果咧，所有人都一齊喺度念誦。
They all became Vaishnavas.
佢哋咧全部都成為咗咧奉獻者。
So all of these different pastimes are narrated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
咁呢啲永恆的主宰喺經永恆的主宰嘅經入邊咧，就係包括晒呢一啲嘅逍遙時光嘅描述。
And Srila Prabhupada has described all of these events in very wonderful purports.
咁咧聖巴巴亦都用咗一啲非常美妙嘅要旨咧嚟到係去作呢個描述。
So it's so wonderful to read Prabhupada's books.
咁所以咧，我哋去閱讀聖巴巴嘅書係非常之美妙。
You can feel the presence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
你可以咧通過書本咧係感受到咧係呢個主宰嚟嘅臨在。
You can remember his different activities.
你都可以咧係記憶到咧係唔同嘅活動，佢嘅逍遙時光。
We're worshipping Lord Chaitanya every day, and now people don't even know what were the activities of
我
Lord
哋
Chaitanya.
咧每日都喺度崇拜主宰坦爺啦，但係咧我哋竟然咧唔知道主宰坦爺咧係佢嘅逍遙時光。
So very important to read Prabhupada's books.
咁所以咧係閱讀聖巴巴嘅書籍咧係非常之重要。
And we read not only the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we should read the Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁所以咧我哋唔單止係閱讀永恆的主宰坦爺經啦，亦都係要閱讀咧聖典博伽壇。
And of course, every day here in our temple, as well as other temples around the world, every morning, custom is to read Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁所以咧喺唔單止我哋呢個廟堂啦，喺全世界所有嘅廟堂咧我哋嘅習慣咧就係每朝咧早上咧都會閱讀聖典博伽壇。
Every day we will take one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam and we will speak on it.
咁咧每一日咧我哋都會咧係閱讀聖典博伽壇嘅一節詩啦，然之後咧就會討論。
Right? There are two kinds of Krishna Katha. There is first of all the Krishna Katha which was spoken by Lord Krishna himself, like Bhagavad Gita.
咁我哋話有兩種嘅 Krishna Katha 啦，咁一種咧就係Krishna 親口講述嘅，咁呢個咧就譬如好似國家梵歌咁樣。
And Srimad Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha. It's spoken about Krishna.
咁而聖典博伽壇咧，亦都係 Krishna Katha 嘅一部分啦，因為咧係佢入邊咧係講述嘅係關於 Krishna 嘅嘢。
So this Krishna Katha is very my bath. Krishna Katha it's the medicine for a conditioned soul.
咁就咧 Krishna Katha 咧就係對呢啲受困嘅靈魂嘅一個良藥，一個。
It is said the topics of Krishna Katha, it's beneficial for the speaker, it's beneficial for the person who puts the questions, and it's beneficial for the audience.
咁所以我哋話咧 Krishna Katha 咧係對所有人啦，包括講者啦、 發問嘅人啦，同埋聆聽嘅人咧，都係有益處嘅。
Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, you have Sutta Goswami, he is answering the questions of Shonaka Rishi.
咁就好似喺聖經波加塔裏邊咧，就係有 Sutta Goswami 啦，佢係回答咧 Shonaka Rishi 嘅提問。
All the sages of Naimisharanya, they're also hearing.
咁當時咧喺 Naimisharanya 嘅森林嘅聖人咧，佢都喺度聆聽。
So they're all benefited by hearing the topics of Lord Krishna.
咁所以當我哋聆聽有關於 Krishna 嘅事情嘅時候咧，所有人咧都係會得到益處。
And Srila Prabhupada explains there are 3 classes of people.
咁咧聖巴巴亦都有解釋有3類嘅人。
There's the liberated soul.
有呢個已經係解脫咗嘅靈魂啦。
Now for liberated souls, it's very important for them to hear about Krishna.
咁對於解脫咗嘅靈魂咧，呢個咧係佢哋聆聽 Krishna 咧係非常之重要嘅。
Liberated souls have no interest in the material world.
因為解脫咗嘅靈魂咧，佢哋對呢個物質世界咧係一啲興趣都冇。
Right? If somebody's a liberated soul, he's not going to be watching television.
呢啲解脫咗嘅靈魂咧，即係話佢哋唔會睇電視嘅。
He won't be going to the movies.
亦都唔會去戲院睇戲。
He won't be spending time on Netflix.
亦都唔會睇 Netflix。
And all,
Netflix 有線電視啦，對唔住啦，要俾錢嘅。
all of these other things which deviate the mind away from Krishna.
因為呢啲電視咧都會令我哋咧令我哋遠離 Krishna。
Some people think a liberated soul shouldn't hear anything.
咁啊，有啲人就話一個解脫咗嘅靈魂唔應該聆聽任何嘢。
Just like sometimes liberated souls, they will take a vow of silence, not to speak.
咁有陣時咧，啲解脫咗嘅靈魂咧，佢哋會立一個誓咧，就話佢哋係一個即係唔講嘢嘅誓言。
Because they think silence that is liberation.
因為咧，佢哋會覺得咧，寧靜咧就係一個解脫嘅一個嘅徵象。
So you can be silent, you can be quiet, but the mind won't be quiet.
咁但係你可以唔講嘢，你可以保持寧靜，但係咧你個心意咧係一樣係咁活躍嘅。
Within the mind there will be so many thoughts.
因為喺你嘅心意入邊咧，好多唔同嘅諗法。
So just stopping not to speak, that's one kind of vow, but it doesn't mean you're going to make great advancement.
咁所以咧，就算你立一個誓言，你唔講嘢啦，你沉默啦，但係咧唔代表咧你係好進步。
You may not speak any nonsense, but you will still think a lot of nonsense.
咁係嘅，你係唔會講任何啲無謂嘅嘢啦，但係你可能有你心意入邊咧，仍然諗到好多無謂嘅嘢。
So I remember that there was one man, a businessman, he told me, he said, every Sunday I make a vow, I don't speak to anybody.
咁媽媽記得咧就有一個做生意嘅人，咁佢咧就話啦我立咗個誓就逢星期日咧我都唔講嘢嘅。
But the rest of the week he speaks so much.
咁但係咧除咗星期日，其他日子咧佢就不停喺度講嘢，講好多嘢。
Running a business and he has his family, but Sunday he doesn't speak.
咁因為佢又做生意啦，又屋企啦，於是佢就講好多嘢嘅，但係星期日佢就唔講。
And one time he sold a book to a man who was doing a vow of silence.
咁跟住咧有一次咧就佢派一本書咧俾一個人咧，佢當時咧就係話立咗個誓就係唔講嘢。
I was in India and we were traveling and we saw there was a temple over on the hillside.
咁當時喺印度啦，係喺旅途上面咧，佢就見喺山嗰度咧有一間廟。
So I was with my godbrother Mahavishnu.
咁當時馬拉係同佢嘅神兄弟 Mahavishnu 馬拉
So he
一齊。
said, let's go over and see who's in the temple.
跟住佢就好啦，咁我哋就去嗰間廟度睇下，睇下邊個喺度啊。
So we got over to the mountain, up the hill into the temple, and there was one sadhu in there.
咁跟住佢哋就行上山啦，去到嗰間廟上面咧，就發現入邊有個聖人喺度。
So he saw us and he put.
跟住個聖人就坐喺度啦，佢見到佢哋兩個，跟住就唔講嘢，淨做個手勢揞住個口，跟住咁樣。
And so we thought, oh, he's doing Monavrat. Yeah, we could understand what he was saying.
咁 即係佢即係其實個手勢就話，佢應該係立咗個誓就唔講嘢啦，咁所以佢哋都明白嘅。
So we started to talk to him.
跟住佢哋就開始同呢個聖人講。
He wasn't talking, but he could hear.
因為個聖人唔可以講嘢咧，但係佢可以聆聽。
And so we told them, you know, we have an international society, we're preaching Bhagavad Gita all over the world.
跟住慢慢就同呢個聖人講啦，我哋有呢個國際Krishna之國協會啦，我哋咧向全世界人咧係教導呢個國家梵歌等等。
And we showed him the Bhagavad Gita.
咁我哋就拎嗰本國家梵歌出嚟咧俾佢睇。
And so we asked him, would you like to get a copy?
咁跟住我哋問，就因佢就問呢個聖人，你想唔想要一本啊？
So he had a board with chalk and he wrote, how much is it?
佢有個黑板嘅做粉筆寫呢本書幾多錢
And he bought the book.
跟住佢就攞咗本書。
So even though he was doing monogram, he got the mercy of Krishna.
咁就算佢係即係立咗呢個誓唔講嘢啦，但係仍然得到咧 Krishna 嘅仁慈。
So liberated souls, you know, they also need to hear about Krishna.
咁所以咧已經解決咗個靈魂咧，佢仍然咧係需要咧去聆聽 Krishna。
Liberated soul doesn't mean to stop hearing.
已經解決咗個靈魂咧，唔代表佢哋咧係要停止去聆聽。
Liberated soul means to hear fully about Krishna.
解決咗個靈魂嘅意思就係佢哋咧係要全心全意咁樣去聆聽關於 Krishna 嘅。
Don't hear about Maya.
咁咧唔會去聆聽關於 Maya 嘅，
Just hear about
淨
Krishna.
係去聆聽 Krishna。
So that's why they need to read Prabhupada's books.
咁所以點解佢哋咧係需要咧係閱讀聖泡泡嘅書？
You're a liberated soul, very good. You need to read this book.
咁如果你咧解決咗個靈魂非常好，你都要讀泡泡嘅書。
Sukadeva Goswami is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam.
咁 Sukadeva Goswami 咧去講述聖典國家嘅談，
He heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from his father.
佢由佢嘅父親嗰度咧係聆聽聖典國家嘅談。
Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from birth.
咁樣 Sukadeva Goswami 咧由出生咧開始咧已經係一個解決咗嘅靈魂。
And then after his birth, he immediately left home.
咁當人一出世咧就離家出走，
And he was completely detached from the material
佢
world.
完全咧係由呢個物質世界度咧係一啲都唔依附嘅。
But then he heard some verses of the Srimad
跟住
Bhagavatam.
佢咧就聆聽到咧係喺聖典國家嘅堂入邊咧係一啲嘅詩節。
And when he heard the verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was attracted.
咁當佢聆聽到呢啲詩節嘅時候咧，佢咧就完全俾呢啲詩節咧所吸引。
And he came back to hear.
於是佢就翻屋企咧就繼續去聆聽。
So Sukadeva Goswami heard from Srila Vyasadeva, and then Sukadeva Goswami instructed Maharaj Pariksit.
咁所以咧，Sukadeva Goswami由佢爸爸 Vyasadeva 嗰度咧聆聽呢個國家聖典國家嘅談啦，跟住咧就再向呢個Pariksit Maharaj 咧講述呢個聖典國家嘅談。
And while Maharaj Pariksit was hearing from Sukadeva Goswami, at that time Sutta Goswami was also there.
咁當Pariksit Maharaj 係喺度聆聽緊同 Sukadeva Goswami 所講嘅聖典國家談嘅時候咧，當時咧 Sutta Goswami 亦都在場。
And later on, Sutta Goswami, he's speaking to the sages in Naimisharanya.
咁之後咧，Sutta Goswami 咧就係向 Naimisharanya 森林入邊嘅聖人咧係講述呢個國家聖典國家。
So this was the param.
咧就係絲毫傳承啦，就係傳遞落嚟。
You hear from the authorized person.
咁我哋咧通過權威嘅人士咧係要聆聽。
You want to understand the Vedic scriptures, you have to hear from the devotee.
咁如果我哋要去明白偉大經咧，要由一個奉獻者嗰度咧係去聆聽。
If you hear from someone who is not a devotee, then you will not get the same result.
如果我哋咧係由非奉獻者度去聆聽咧，我哋咧個結果咧係會唔一樣。
Now, who can understand these books?
明白呢啲書籍咧，
Srila Maharaj Pariksit says everyone can understand except for the person who's killing the animal.
咁咧，教育傳王就話啦，所有人咧都能夠明白呢啲書籍嘅，除咗嗰啲咧係殺害動物嘅人。
The killer of animals, particularly the cows, and he will never understand.
咁咧，殺害動物嘅人咧，尤其是係殺害牛隻嘅人咧，佢哋永遠都唔會明白呢啲知識。
But common people, provided they're not engaged in killing animals, they can understand.
咁一般嘅人咧，如果佢哋唔係參與咧係宰殺動物嘅話咧，佢哋都能夠明白嘅。
So Srila Prabhupada wrote his books for the benefit of people everywhere.
咁佢咧，聖法都寫啲書咧，係為咗所有嘅人嘅係得益。
And we have the job to try to encourage people to read Prabhupada's books.
咁所以我哋有個責任咧，就係要鼓勵所有人咧去閱讀聖法巴所寫嘅書籍。
It's one thing to get people to do things like we had a course of Bhagavad Gita seminars.
我哋會舉辦一啲國家梵歌嘅研討會啦。
We had for a number of months, especially during the COVID time, where the devotees were very active in distributing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita online.
咁譬如好似喺疫情嘅期間咧，咁奉獻者咧就通過喺網上咧係非常之活躍咁樣咧，係嚟到教導呢啲國家。
And one devotee came up with a chapter a day, 1 hour a day, 1 chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita. In 18 days you can study all the Bhagavad Gita.
咁有奉獻者就有個好嘅諗法咧，就係建議咧，就係你每日如果讀一章啦，或者係1個小時嘅國家梵歌，你18日咧就會讀完成本國家梵歌。
And this way bringing people to study, get into the Bhagavad Gita.
佢哋都係鼓勵所有人咧去閱讀，去明白呢個國家梵歌嘅知識。
So that was very successful. It brought many people in contact with the Bhagavad Gita.
咁呢個咧非常之成功嘅一個活動啦，令到好多人咧都可以接觸到國家梵歌。
And a lot of people got spiritual knowledge from that.
好多人咧，如果通過呢個活動咧，能夠得到呢個靈性嘅知識。
But that's just the beginning. The Bhagavad Gita is just one book. It's just the start.
咁呢個咧係只係一個國家梵歌只係一個開始。
Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses.
咁呢國家梵歌總共有700個詩詞。
So in less than 2 years, you can read the whole book.
咁所以咧2年之內咧，你 less than 2 Bhagavad Gita。
2 years, under 2 years. No, Bhagavad Gita. 365 days.
咁咧國家梵歌有700個詩詞啦，咁所以咧如果你呢個詩詞咧，你2年咧就會讀晒成本國家梵歌。
No. The Bhagavad Gita, if you read a chapter a day, 18 days you can read the whole
咁
Bhagavad
如果你每日讀1章嘅話咧，你18日就讀完成本國家梵歌。
If you can't read a chapter a day, if you read a verse a day, then it will take you less than 2 years.
如果你每日讀1節嘅話咧，你就唔需要2年就讀完啦。
Srimad Bhagavatam, that's a longer program.
咁當然啦，聖經國家嘅談係一本比較長嘅書。
You need to read it a lifetime.
咁你要用一世嘅時間嚟到去閱讀呢本書。
Of course, some people can read quickly. They can go through many chapters a day.
咁當然有啲人會讀得好快啦，佢哋一日咧可以讀好多章。咁個重要就唔係話你每日讀幾多。
What you want to do is increase your understanding.
咁最重要我哋要係增加我哋嘅理解。
So we encourage them not to just read the books, but to discuss them.
咁所以咧，我哋唔單止係要係去讀呢啲書咯，我哋仲要去討論。
And when we have classes here every day, we try to do that.
咁就好似我哋每朝嘅早課咧，我哋都係嘗試做一樣嘢。
We always ask, there's some questions or comments.
咁我哋咧每一次都會問咧，大家有冇咩嘅意見啊，或者有冇問題啊？
That is a successful class.
咁呢個咧就係一個成功嘅講座。
The more there is discussion and exchanging opinions.
咁咧就係越多嘅討論啦，越多嘅大家交換意見咧，呢個就係更加好嘅一堂課。
So it's important for us to hear regularly.
咁所以咧我哋要行上去聆聽，呢個係非常之重要。
And Srila Prabhupada said reading is also hearing.
咁聖法衛都講啦，閱讀咧就係等於聆聽。
But it depends on the quality, how you read.
呢個咧就係取決你閱讀嘅呢一個嘅品質啦，你點樣去閱讀？
Some people may read and they ask them what they've read, they don't remember anything.
咁有啲人咧就佢哋去讀書啦，咁當你問佢你讀咗啲乜嘢，佢一啲都唔記得。
Just like some people sit and hear, and you ask them what happened, what was the class about, they don't remember anything.
咁同樣地有啲人坐喺度去聆聽啦，咁但係當聽完之後你問佢你聽到啲乜嘢，佢一啲都唔記得。
What happened? It all went in the one ear, it went out the other.
咁但係究竟發生咩事就係呢隻耳仔入，呢隻耳仔就出翻嚟。
So it's not simply physical presence which is important.
咁所以咧就唔單單係我哋個人坐喺度，呢個係最重要嘅。
There has to be actual awareness and consciousness.
咁啊，最緊要重要，我哋咧要有呢一個，我哋要喚醒，我哋有呢個知覺喺度。
So Srila Prabhupada is writing books. He wants to awaken us to the spiritual platform.
咁所以聖帕巴佢亦都希望咧，通過佢寫嘅書籍咧，能夠喚醒咧，提升我哋去到呢個靈性嘅呢個層面。
He wants to bring us out of our ignorant condition.
佢想我哋咧係脱離呢一個愚昧嘅狀態。
We're asleep to the real purpose of life.
我哋咧係對於呢一個人生真正嘅意義咧，我哋咧好似瞓咗覺咁樣。
We have to understand there's a higher purpose behind this world.
我哋咧要明白呢個世界背後呢個更加高階嘅、更加高嘅呢個目標。
It's not just only eat and sleep.
唔單止咧，淨係食同埋瞓。
But there's a higher purpose we want to come to the platform of awareness.
我哋咧希望咧去到呢一個覺悟嘅呢一個嘅層面。
Awareness of the temporary nature of this world.
覺悟到咧呢個世界咧係短暫嘅。
And our own temporary nature.
我哋本身呢個亦都係一個我哋嘅本質係短暫。
That the body is not eternal.
我哋嘅身體咧並唔係永恆。
So we should be thinking, where am I going? What is my future?
所以我哋應該要諗咧，究竟我會去邊咧？我哋嘅將來會係點咧？
And don't just think only in terms of this one life.
咁咧唔好淨係諗呢一生係點樣。
Therefore, you see in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is replying to Arjuna that we have had many births.
咁所以咧喺《博伽梵經》入邊咧 ，Krishna 就回答阿 Arjuna 啦，我哋其實咧有好多嘅生生世世。
In the past, we have taken birth many times.
我哋咧喺從前亦都咧已經出生過好多次。
Krishna says he can remember, but we cannot.
咁咧 Krishna 就話啦，我能夠記憶晒呢一切，但係你哋就唔可以。
And we will continue taking birth unless we come to a proper understanding.
除非我哋得到正確嘅理解啦，如果唔係我哋咧會繼續喺度不斷咁樣出生。
So we want to awaken our consciousness, we want to understand our precarious situation in this material
所以
world.
我哋希望咧能夠明白咧人生真正嘅目標啦，同埋咧呢一個世界嘅殘忍。
We want to make a success of this life.
我哋希望咧呢一生咧能夠成功。
And the success of this life is that we wouldn't come back again.
咁我哋如果係點為之成功咧，就我哋唔需要再翻嚟呢個世界。
But that we could get out of this world.
我哋咧能夠離開呢個世界。
So liberated souls, they will be busy to read the book of Srila Prabhupada.
解脫咗嘅靈魂咧，佢哋咧應該好忙去讀呢個聖帕巴嘅書籍。
And those who are endeavoring for liberation, they will also want to read Prabhupada's
一啲喺
books.
度努力係希望能夠得到解脫嘅人咧，佢哋亦都咧係應該係好努力咁去閱讀聖帕巴嘅書。
And those who are gross materialists, they can also be benefited
咁
by
就算
reading.
係嗰啲咧係完全咧係非處於呢個愚昧狀態嘅人咧， 佢哋亦都可以通過聖巴巴嘅書咧，係得到好大嘅益處。
The gross materialist has no interest in self-realization,
呢啲咁愚昧嘅人咧，佢哋咧完全咧係對自我覺悟咧係冇任何嘅興趣，
but he has interest in romance.
但佢哋可能係對呢一個啲浪漫嘅故事有興趣啦。
So you can hear about romance in the Prabhupada's books. Krishna's pastimes are full of romance.
你可以通過聖巴巴嘅書籍啦，Krishna 嘅逍遙時光入邊咧揾到好多浪漫嘅故事。
Lord Krishna enjoys romance with his girlfriend.
咁咧，Krishna 同佢嘅女朋友一齊咧係好多浪漫嘅故事。
So it's very interesting for people to hear these things.
咁所以咧，對好多人嚟講咧，去聆聽呢啲嘅逍遙時光係非常之有趣。
The original romance
呢隻最原本嘅浪漫故事，
in the village in India.
咁咧就係一個印度嘅村莊入邊發生。
So materialistic people like to hear, sometimes they like to hear war stories.
咁有陣時有啲呢啲個物質主義嘅人係中意聽一啲戰爭嘅故事。
So you can read about Krishna fighting different demons and fighting battles against the different enemies.
咁所以咧係你都可以閱讀咧係 Krishna 佢點樣同啲惡魔去打鬥啦，亦都係 Krishna 喺打唔同嘅仗啦。
The Lord Shiva's weapon fighting against Vishnu's weapon.
Shiva 好多嘅武器咧就係同主 Krishna 嘅武器喺度打鬥啦。
Lord Shiva tried to burn everything.
咁主 Shiva 咧就想燒晒所有嘢，
And Lord Krishna froze everything.
跟住咧 Krishna 就掉翻晒所有武器俾佢。
And so the fire weapon was put out by the cold weapon of Lord Vishnu.
咁咧就係Shiva 呢一啲熱嘅武器咧，就係被Vishnu 呢啲係寒冷嘅武器咧係所毀滅。
The most wonderful pastimes are all described in Krishna's pastimes.
咁咧喺 Krishna 嘅逍遙時光入邊咧，就係有呢啲咧咁偉大嘅故事。
Some people like crime stories.
有啲人中意咧罪惡活動嘅故事。
You can read about the Shamantaka jewel
咁咧 Shamantaka jewel 寶石嘅呢個故事咧，就係一個好嘅代表。
and the intrigue which came, and there were people accusing even Lord Krishna of stealing the jewel.
咁入邊錯綜複雜嘅故事啦，情節啦，亦都有啲人咧，甚至咧係冤枉咧 Krishna 偷咗呢個寶石。
So many wonderful pastimes are all narrated in the pages of Prabhupada's books.
咁喺聖帕巴書籍入邊咧，係描述咗好多呢啲咧咁引人入勝、咁美妙嘅逍遙時光。
And many people, after they read the book, they say, I never knew this was in Prabhupada's book.
咁咧，好多人讀完呢啲書之後就話：我從來都唔知道聖帕巴書入邊有咁多呢啲唔同
There's
嘅
so
故
much
事。
knowledge there waiting for us.
入邊咧有好多知識咧，等緊我哋去發掘出
We
嚟。
just have to pick up the book and enter into it.
我哋只需要拎起本書咧，我哋去進入呢本書入邊。
In the beginning, it can be a little difficult. You're not used to it. But if you persevere, you will taste the greatest pleasure.
咁開始嘅時候，我哋可能唔係好習慣啦，好困難。咁但係當我哋習慣咗之後咧，我就能夠品嚐到呢個真正嘅呢個品味。
We give the example. If you have jaundice, you have to get rid of the jaundice by drinking sugar candy.
咁就好似咧，你係如果有黃疸病啦，你就要飲甜嘅蔗汁咧，就係醫好呢個，要去醫呢個黃疸病。
But the sugar cane tastes bitter.
咁但係咧，如果你當時你有黃疸去飲呢啲蔗汁嘅時候咧，呢啲蔗汁就變咗苦嘅。
Because we're not healthy, because the liver is not healthy, we cannot taste the sweetness.
因為我哋有病啦，我哋有肝有黃疸啦，於是我哋就唔可以品嚐到呢個甜味。
And in the same way, when we read Prabhupada's books, initially, you may not taste the sweetness.
咁正如咧，我哋去閱讀聖托巴嘅書籍咧，開始嘅時候咧，未必感覺到呢個甜味，
That is because of our jaundice of materialism.
因為咧我哋有呢一個物質主義嘅黃疸病。
But if you keep reading, gradually you will taste the nectar.
咁但係如果我哋繼續去閱讀嘅時候咧，慢慢地我就能夠感覺到呢個甘露。
The one solution is to always keep a book with you.
咁其中嘅方法咧就係永遠咧你都帶住一本書。
Wherever you go, always make sure you have at least one book by Prabhupada
咁
with
所以無論你去到邊都好啦，你都有一本咧帕巴嘅書喺你身邊。
And then wait, you never know when you're going to get the time you can read.
因為你永遠都唔知你幾時有時間，總之你有時間你就可以去讀啦。
But you never want to be without a book.
你永遠都唔想咧係你身邊係冇呢個聖帕巴嘅書。
And I mean a book by Srila
咁
Prabhupada.
當然我所講咧就係聖帕巴所寫嘅書。
Read Prabhupada's books first.
咁我哋首先咧要閱讀聖帕巴嘅書籍。
Any other books, they can wait.
咁咧其他書我哋都可以等一等。
Okay, any questions? Yeah?
Finally, how do you analyze which is, we can say the butterfly organization and what you should be to follow in the future? Maybe you said that you met George Harrison in the temple. Maybe you are attracted by the George Harrison because he's a one of the famous member of the business.
個問題就係我哋點樣先知呢個係一個真實無為嘅協會，一個真實無為嘅人咯，我哋去追隨咧。譬如好似我哋喺廟堂遇到 George Harrison，咁佢係一個好出名嘅人啦，咁佢係唔係咧？
因為你會 attract by the George Harrison.
Well, some people may be attracted by that.
咁有啲人可能係會被呢啲嘢所吸引。
That may, different reasons why people may come to Krishna consciousness in the beginning.
咁咧，當我哋開始去收集 Krishna 知覺嘅時候咧，每一個人都有可能一個唔同嘅原因去開始。
But in order to stay in Krishna consciousness, they have to come to the platform of knowledge.
咁但係如果我哋要維係我哋嘅 Krishna 知覺嘅收集咧，我哋必須咧要去到呢個擁有知識嘅層面嗰度。
If somebody just comes out of some sentimental attraction, then they won't stay very long.
咁如果有啲人咧，淨係因為一啲感情嘅依附去嚟到呢個收集咧，佢哋未必可以留得好耐。
When Srila Prabhupada would come, then so many people would come. Whenever Srila Prabhupada would personally come to the temple, we would see many people appear.
咁當我哋咧係見到聖帕巴佢親自嚟到呢個廟堂嘅時候咧，好多人咧都會跟住佢出現。
But after Prabhupada would go, the people would also disappear.
咁但係當帕巴離開廟堂嘅時候咧，好多人跟住都會消失。
They just came because Prabhupada was present.
佢哋會好多人咧嚟咧，就純粹因為咧聖帕巴喺度。
And they're saying, Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
咁佢哋好大聲嗌Prabhupada
And Prabhupada, yes, Hari Hari. But they will go, they don't stay long.
咁但係呢啲人咧，佢哋咧會離開嘅，佢哋唔會留好耐。
So unless one comes to the platform of knowledge, they won't stay in Krishna
咁
consciousness.
除非一個人咧係去到呢一個知識嘅層面啦，如果唔係咧，佢並唔會留喺 Krishna 知覺運動入邊咧好耐時間。
Lord Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita 4 reasons why people come to Krishna.
咁咧 Krishna 喺《博家梵歌》入邊咧係講述咧4個會嚟到呢個 Krishna 知覺嘅4種人。
Chaturveda bhajantimam jnana sukritino arjuna arto jignasur artati jnani cha bharatarshava. The 4 reasons why people, 4 kinds of reasons. One is distress, one is in search of wealth, one is curiosity, and one is in search of knowledge.
咁所以咧Krishna 喺《博家梵歌》入邊咧描述4種人咧，佢哋會去追尋 Krishna 知覺。咁一個咧就係痛苦嘅人啦，第二種就係尋找財富嘅人啦，第三種就係好奇嘅人啦，第4種咧就係去尋找呢個真實嘅知識嘅人。
And the one in search of knowledge, he's considered by Krishna to be the best.
咁而 Krishna 咧就係視呢個尋找知識嘅人咧就係最好嘅呢一種嘅人。
Right? Other people, they're in distress. Once the distress is over, they'll go away.
咁有啲譬如因為痛苦，所以佢就嚟到。咁但係咧，當佢嘅痛苦消失咗嘅時候咧，佢就會走啦。
Right? One young man came one time, he lost, oh, my girlfriend left me.
跟住好似有個後生仔嚟到，就好痛苦，跟住就哎呀，我女朋友走咗。
It's okay, come and chant Hare
跟
Krishna.
住我就同佢講，嚟念誦聖名。
So he's chanting and chanting.
咁佢就不斷喺度念誦啦。
He stayed a few days.
咁佢就留咗喺廟堂幾日，
Then he said, I think I need to look for another girlfriend.
跟住佢就同鳳小姐講話：我諗我而家要走咯，要去揾另一個新嘅女朋友。
And so somebody's in search of money and they come to Krishna consciousness.
咁有啲人咧就因為佢想揾錢啊，於是就嚟到收受 Krishna 知覺。
They had no job.
佢哋冇工作，
But then they come to Krishna consciousness and somebody offers them a job
咁跟住佢嚟到收受嘅時候咧，有啲人咧就好多我俾份工你啦，
and they go away.
跟住佢哋就走咗啦。
And somebody else comes, they have a lot of questions, they're very curious.
咁有啲人咧就係佢哋好好奇啦，佢哋嚟到咧就好多問題。
And then after some time they don't come anymore. What happened? Oh, no more questions.
跟住嗰段時間佢哋就唔再嚟啦。咁點解咧？我哋冇問題啦，問晒啦。
But the one who comes in knowledge, and if he has knowledge, then they will stay in Krishna.
咁但係一啲係尋找知識嘅人咧，佢哋就算得到知識咧，佢就會留低。
Of course, by knowledge, it takes longer to advance.
咁但係咧，當然你去尋找知識咧，你去進步咧係需要啲時間嘅。
What is important is devotion.
咁更加重要咧就係奉愛。
You have to come to the platform of devotion.
我哋咧要提升咧去到呢個奉愛嘅層面。
So people come to Krishna consciousness, sentimental reasons, and if it's all right, whatever reason they come, they're good people because they've come to Krishna.
咁所以無論係因為咩原因都好啦，如果你嚟到，譬如就算係啲情感嘅原因都好啦，但係當佢嚟到呢個 Krishna 知覺收集咧，都係好嘅人嚟嘅。
But they have to come to the platform of knowledge. They have to,
但係佢哋咧必須要提升咧係去到咧呢個知識嘅層面。
that's why we study the books regularly.
咁所以咧點解我哋咧要去閱讀咧去研讀咧聖花寶嘅書籍？
We encourage all the devotees come to class and hear the class.
我哋都係鼓勵所有嘅奉獻者咧嚟到聽課啦，同埋去討論啦，參
And
加呢啲，
read the books.
同埋係去閱讀呢啲書籍。
Then you will never give up Krishna consciousness.
咁你就永遠都唔會咧係放棄咧係去收集 Krishna 知覺。
All right, any other question?
What is the difference Parama and Jiva? Parama and Jiva, what is the difference?
我想問另一個問題就係超靈同埋個體靈魂嘅分別。
这有一个问题，完全卡马拉口哈里他写，领外部怎么样才能保持规律，夜如泡发舒服？我做不到，怎么办
The question is how can I maintain my regular habits of reading Srila Prabhupada? I can't do it.
Well, you have to, obstacles may come, but still you keep going.
咁咧係有陣時我哋會遇到啲障礙啦，一啲難題啦，但我都仍然要繼續去堅持去做。
So you try to read, just like the mind wanders, the nature of the mind is to be restless.
咁就好似咧，我哋嘅心意咧係嘅本質咧就係會喺度會遊走嘅嚇，呢個係心意嘅本質。
So sometimes you're supposed to read and somehow you didn't read.
咁
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Please read my message.
Okay.
咁
Go ahead.
I forgot。所以無論我哋嘅心意係點樣都好，我哋都要繼續堅持落去。
Wherever.
Yeah.
So his question, right? We're on his question. Reading the books regularly. Sometimes the mind wanders. Okay, so then you have to bring it back and you start reading again.
咁就好似我哋嘅心意會不斷遊走啦，咁但係我哋就要叫翻佢翻嚟，我哋就繼續去閱讀。
It doesn't mean you stop reading,
咁唔係話叫你停止，
but you may not be able. You often we're not able to read as much as we would like to read.
咁可能我哋咧就係讀唔到我哋想讀咁多。
So you just keep trying to read. You keep trying. You have the desire to read. That's a good thing.
咁我哋有呢個慾望去閱讀咧係好嘅，咁我哋就要繼續努力去嘗試，繼續去嘗試。
And Prabhupada says, he told some devotees, well, did you sleep last night?
Where?
Did you go to sleep? Did you take rest last
跟住咧，
night?
聖塔又問一個鳳姐，你琴晚有冇瞓覺啊？你有冇休息啊？
No, you took rest, right? You went to sleep. You had
你去瞓覺，你休息。
and did you eat food yesterday?
你琴日有冇食飯啊？
Oh yeah, we had food. Yeah.
咁都有，我有食飯啊，琴日。
Why you didn't read?
咁點解你唔去閱讀咧？
You took time to sleep. You took time to eat.
你咧花時間去瞓覺，花時間去食飯。
Why you didn't take time to read?
點解你唔花時間去閱讀咧？
If we want to do something, we can do it.
如果你想做啲嘢，你就做到啦。
Just have to have that determination,
我哋要有呢個決心
and Krishna will arrange.
，Krishna 咧就會幫你安排。
Right? You sleep less.
食瞓少啲。
You want to read, sleep less.
你如果係想讀書嘅，瞓少啲覺。
And maybe, oh, I'm so tired when I read, I fall asleep.
咁你又跟住你就話啦，我實在太攰啦，我一讀書我就瞓覺。
Then stand up
跟住起身，
and read aloud.
大聲咁樣讀。
There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
咁咧就係一個言語就你有呢個願望咧，就自然會有呢個方法。
And we want to do something, Krishna will help us. He'll
你
show
如果
us.
係有呢個決心去做一樣嘢咧 ，Krishna 會幫你。
Prabhupada was very busy. He would get up in the middle of the night and write.
咁咧，聖帕哥係咁非常之忙咯，佢會半夜起身咧嚟到係寫作。
Okay, so her question, Mataji's question about Shiva and Super Soul.
Yeah, difference between the Paratma and the Jiva.
Lord Shiva.
Jiva soul.
Jiva.
Jiva, yeah.
Jiva. Oh, the Jiva. Well, the Jiva is a living entity.
咁咧，Jiva 個體靈魂就係一個生物體啦。
And the Super Soul is the Lord, that's Lord Vishnu.
咁而超靈咧就係主 Vishnu。
The Super Soul is in everyone's heart.
超靈咧喺每一個人嘅心入邊。
There's one Super Soul in this room.
咁喺呢個房入邊亦都有呢個超靈。
It's the same Super Soul in each of our heart.
咁咧，我哋每一個人心入邊咧都有相同嘅超靈。
So I'm a Jiva.
我係一個個體靈魂。
I know about my pain and pleasure.
我咧知道我感受到我自己嘅呢個痛苦同埋快樂，
I don't understand your pain and pleasure.
但係我唔會理解你嘅痛苦同埋快樂，
And you don't know my pain and pleasure.
你亦都唔會明白我嘅痛苦同埋快樂，
Because we are Jivas.
因為我哋就係個體靈魂，
We only know about our own individual pain and pleasure.
我哋只係咧能夠明白我哋自己自身嘅痛苦同埋快樂。
But the Super Soul is in everyone's heart.
咁但係超靈咧喺每一個人嘅心入邊，
And he knows about everyone's pain and pleasure.
而超靈咧亦都明白咧，知道咧每一個人嘅痛苦同埋快樂。
Just like a landlord, he owns the whole building.
咁就好似呢一個大業主啦，佢咧就成棟大廈都係佢嘅。
We're only living in one apartment.
但我哋咧只係住喺一個房入邊。
So we know about our own apartment.
咁我哋咧知道我哋住嘅呢間房嘅嘢啦。
But the landlord, he knows about the whole building.
咁但係咧呢個業主咧就知道成棟大廈嘅所有嘢。
So Super Soul knows about everyone.
咁所以咧超靈咧係知道每一個人嘅。
We only know about our own self.
我哋淨係知道我哋自己。
That is the difference between Paramatma, the Super Soul, and the Jiva.
呢個咧就係超靈同埋個體靈魂嘅分別。
All right. Any other questions?
頭先講到主隨根嘅經啦，咁又講到我哋廟內嘅崇拜書書關於係。咁如果假如一個新人嚟，你同佢介紹呢個我哋嘅神像係書書關係，咁 咁即係佢唔知道舒舒乾太係咩嘢，但係我哋如果係用點樣用語言表達，令佢一個新嘅有啲概念去明白。
So now I should mention that we worship Shishigoritai in our temple, so they are Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So if they are newcomers, the first time they come to the temple, how should we explain to them who are Shishigoritai? How to explain this to the newcomers, who they are?
Well, you can explain to them that Lord Chaitanya, he propagated the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra.
咁你可以同佢解釋嘅就主要產業咧就係推動呢個齊眾聲明嘅運動。
He is the Kali Yuga avatar.
佢係呢個交易年代嘅化身，嘅化身。
And he was assisted by Lord Nityananda.
咁而咧，主呢天就咧嚟到咧就係去輔助佢。
And these two personalities are not different from Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram.
而呢兩個人物咧，同主 Krishna 同埋主 Balaram 咧係冇分別嘅。
The Lord Krishna came in the previous yuga.
咁主Krishna 咧就係喺之前嘅年代顯現啦。
With Lord Balaram, they're there on the wall there.
咁我哋 Balaram 同佢一齊啦。
And Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they came in this Kali Yuga.
咁而主呢天同埋主 Chaitanya 咧就喺呢個年代咧嚟到。
And they're chanting Hare Krishna.
你哋可以指呢邊啊，佢就喺度念誦聖名。
They're telling you, chant.
咁我哋好開心咁喺度齊眾聖名。
So I would tell them like that.
咁我哋可以咁樣去介紹俾佢哋聽。
Okay. And Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful of all the incarnations.
咁而主嘅坦爺咧，係咁多嘅化身入邊咧，係最仁慈嘅。
Giving to everyone.
咁我哋咧係將呢個齊眾聖名咧係派發俾每一個人。
Without any distinction.
唔需要任何嘅分野。
That's why he's here in Hong Kong.
咁點解佢喺香港？
He's so merciful.
因為咧佢係非常之仁慈。
Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki.